One day, the last star will die, galaxies will dissolve, and black holes will evaporate. The cosmos will become a forever expanding, empty void where nothing happens, forever. A place without life, purpose, or meaning. Lame and surprising. But there might be a loophole in the laws of physics for a future civilization to survive the death of everything and go on having fun and internet arguments for Googles of years, maybe even forever. To explain how this works, we need to go through a few steps, so strap in if you want consciousness to live forever. How to outlast the stars. Let's travel 100 trillion years into the future when the last stars are about to die and the cosmos starts turning dark forever. Here in this dying universe, we find the Noxians, the last civilization still alive. Compared to them, we're cave dwellers. They've solved physics and can do things we can only dream of. Still, the same rules of reality apply to them as to us. The Noxians like being alive and don't want to vanish with the last stars. So, they're enacting the plan to keep consciousness around forever. The first issue is energy. If you want to keep a civilization running, you need a lot of it. But actually, not that much in cosmic terms. With 5 hours of the full energy emitted by the sun, we could power present-day humanity for about 10 billion years. So the Noxians harvest the last stars and build a gigantic complex of batteries around their home star. In principle, this energy could keep them alive for a few 100 trillion years, a long time, but not even close to forever. So now the hard part of the plan begins. The Noxians need to change the nature of life itself. Thoughts cold as ice. Being alive means doing things, eating, playing video games, and very importantly, thinking. And each of those things costs energy. But how much energy? There's an idea from a famous paper we'll mercilessly simplify and call Dyson's cold thought. In a nutshell, the idea is that the lower your temperature, the less energy it takes to do something. Your brain runs at a temperature of 310 degrees above absolute zero. Zero is the temperature where nothing can happen anymore. At 310 degrees, your brain needs 20 joules of energy to think a simple thought that takes 1 second to think, like, I should wear a funny hat. If your brain were at colder temperatures, say 155 Kelvin instead of 310, a few things would change. First of all, you think at half the speed, and the same thought would now take 2 seconds. But in return, the energy you need to think the thought now halves from 20 joules to only 10. If Dyson's cold thoughts are correct, then the colder you go, the less energy you need to think a thought. At 1/10 your current temperature, the same thought would take 10 seconds, but only require 2 joules. And this has wild implications, because it means that we actually might be able to play this game forever. How could this work in reality? Cooling down a living organism isn't easy. If we put you in a fridge, you'll die from hypothermia. The reality is that this plan will be impossible to do with flesh and blood, so the Noxians have to take a huge step. Before we cool anything down, consider this. Maybe the real trick is stepping back and seeing ideas from different perspectives, because even with more efficient brains, we're still prone to the same biases we face today. Nothing highlights this issue more than our modern media landscape. They have to leave biology behind and transfer their minds into some kind of artificial brain. Or even better, become completely virtual minds and build a digital world as good or better than the real one. This is getting pretty sci-fi, so to be fair, we don't know how to build such brains or computers. But remember, we are 100 trillion years in the future, the Noxians are desperate, and the laws of physics should allow this. So now, we have a pretty big battery with a huge but finite amount of energy, and a lot of brains or a computer that can cool down. Okay, this is great and all, but how do you stay around with a limited energy forever? Well, this is at the core of the plan. Each time the Noxians get colder, they need less energy to stay alive. Sure, they'll be slower, but this isn't relevant to them. So from the Noxians' perspective, as long as they can keep getting colder fast enough, their battery's energy is growing proportionally and could keep them alive forever. Let's see how their plan unfolds. Cooling down. As the last star in the universe goes out and the universe turns dark forever, the Noxians activate their batteries and start cooling down their brains. The way they do it is extremely simple. How do you cool down a light bulb? Well, you unplug it so it will radiate away its heat. So the Noxians switch off their brains and start to hibernate. They enter a state with no activity, thoughts or even dreams, and let their bodies radiate heat away to cool down a bit. When they activate again after some time, they're now colder than before. They think slower and each thought uses up less energy from their battery. They enter into a new cycle of cosmic days and cosmic nights. During the days they're alive and awake, doing all the stuff they want to do, hanging out with friends, thinking about things, eating virtual cheeseburgers, simulating universes, whatever type 3 civilizations think fun is in the future. And during the night, they're switched off, lost in dreamless non-existence, not even noticing anything isn't happening, while cooling down their brains even more. At the beginning, the nights will be very short and the days extremely long. A day can last 1,000,000 years, while night is only a few hours. But warm things shed heat much faster than cold ones. Cooling from 300 to 299 degrees takes much less time than going from 100 to 99. So, as the Noxian brains become colder, the nights will have to grow longer and longer. So, how long could they actually do this, and how is this a way to live forever? How long could the Noxians actually do this? The reason Dyson's cold thoughts are so incredibly powerful is how incredibly they scale. As eons pass in a dying universe, the Noxians keep cooling down and waking up. After 100 trillion years of this cycle, their temperature has only dropped 230 degrees above absolute zero. A simple fall now takes 1.3 seconds instead of 1. Each cosmic night is now 400,000 years long. But even accounting for their slower speeds and long hibernations, the Noxians have experienced the equivalent of 76 trillion years of life. Over 5,000 times the age of the current universe. This is frankly just an unsettling idea. What is way scarier than being dead? Being alive forever. So, we need to detach ourselves a little bit. We simply have no concept how conscious beings would deal with the opportunity to actually live that long. Maybe our Noxians delete their memories regularly, maybe they create new worlds and new life, maybe at some point, they decide to sleep forever. Maybe they just activate their pleasure centers and experience perfect bliss forever. As time keeps passing and the Noxians keep going through their cycle of day and night and cooling down, the universe keeps dying. After quadrillions of years, the corpses of former stars, white dwarfs, turn yellow, then orange, then red, then black. Trillions of years later, all galaxies have dissolved like dandelions. Decillions of years later, the first black holes evaporate in bursts of light, like sad fireworks. And the Noxians, they're still around, at a chilling 10 quintillionth degree above zero. They've become so slow that a simple thought takes 1,000,000,000 years. They spend 99.999999999999999% of the time hibernating. But them, nothing's changed. Their conscious experience is just as fluid and vibrant as on the first day. From the outside, they live in slow motion. As they get colder and colder, their thoughts got slower and slower. But if you and the world around you slow down at the same pace, you don't notice anything. Your conversations, thoughts, adventures, and experiences feel exactly the same as before. And while the cosmic nights are now a quarter or 1,000,000,000 years long, it doesn't matter to them, because during the night, the Noxians don't experience anything. So, no matter how long the nights are, they pass in an instant. The Noxians experience a perfectly fluid existence. Only that with each night, they use up even less energy than before. At this point, they've lived, felt and experienced the equivalent of 4,000 trillion years. Their battery has only a tiny fraction of its original charge, but the Noxians now need so little energy, this seems larger than ever before. True eternity has just begun. Or has it? Can the Noxians actually live forever? Whether Dyson's cold thought can make you live forever depends on one thing. Can you keep cooling forever, or does the universe force you to hit a true limit? There are a few problems. Dark energy might eventually make the universe hit a temperature limit of 1/millionth degrees above absolute zero. The Noxians will cool to that level after a Google years, but then they can't cool any further, and their battery will begin to run out. And after this much time, the universe will make going on impossible in other weird ways. Quantum noise may just destroy their brains, or matter may decay into iron, or proton decay may destroy all atoms. We don't know. Forever is a long time. But even if the Noxons don't get a true forever, if Dyson's cold thoughts work, then within these Google years, their consciousness will experience the equivalent of 2 trillion years. This may all seem far-fetched and hard to imagine, but the amazing thing about it is that for all we know, the laws of physics don't forbid life to adapt even to a completely dead universe, and it would mean that life and consciousness aren't a brief accident in cosmic history, but the final chapter of existence itself, giving the universe meaning, purpose, and hope. Maybe forever.